obviously I had such a great group of guys around me. And on top of that, great coaching staff and players that were already here. And so had a great support system. But, you know, it was still a lot to take in. It was a big change. There's a lot of emotions involved. But it was a good time. It was a good time to be alive. It was a good time to be at Carolina. And yeah, it just makes me smile thinking about it, man. You know, seeing Danny Green come into the room and, you know, him and his family, and it was a great time. It was a great time. It was exciting. And we all had an idea and we all had the feeling that what we were about to do was going to be very, very special. And I think that more than anything, that's kind of what stands out to me is just that feeling. They're just looking around, knowing that we got these big time players, that we're at this big time school, that we got a coach that just got there who's I mean, the way I thought about it was like already bigger than life. And I'm just like super grateful and thankful to be in this position and just knowing that we're about to give it everything that we have and really make this something special. And sure enough, you know, that's kind of exactly what it looked like going forward.
Yeah. Well, you know, a lot of times people get to North Carolina and they're so enamored by the environment and like you said, the star-studded players that they're playing with or coming in with and those types of things. You know, and you have a sense of how things should go. Tell us about your first experience going down and playing against the pros.
Man. Now, I can't remember specifically the first time, but I definitely have a memory of the first times. And it was, yeah, that was an eye-opening experience for sure. Again, I can't remember the first time, but you were definitely down there. Even those guys that had just left, Wad and Big May, man, Voss, and I'm going to be leaving so many people out, but you know, and I just remember feeling like I wasn't ready, right? You know, and to be fair, I certainly wasn't ready for that, right? And so, and I also remember a time when somebody called a foul or something, and I remember Wad just pointing up to the banners, right? And he's like, "Man, well, what have you guys done? Have you guys put any of these things up here? You know?"
There you go.
And what I remember most about that time is just not only getting our butts whipped, right, but just feeling that mentorship already. Mm-hmm. From the very first moments of getting down there and getting in the gym with all the former players, just knowing, I felt immediately that there was a huge responsibility for what we were about to get into, right? And I think that's probably one of the biggest takeaways. Obviously, getting to spend time with the former players and hearing stories and all those other things, but like I think when you kind of boil it down to the real essence of it, I felt a huge responsibility to put banners up in the rafters, right? To be a part of teams that added to that collection, right? Not just being a part of a team that continued to look up into the banners, right? But like writing our own story, being inspired and motivated by what has happened before us, but then taking the responsibility to write our own story and to leave things hanging up there for other people to see and to continue that tradition, right? And so I think that's probably one of the things that I felt more than anything. And I think part of feeling that was knowing that in that moment we weren't ready, right? Like, which just, I think, gave us a ton of motivation and a ton of, I think it even at an early stage gave us a lot of discipline, right? To know that we have so much ground to cover and we really got to put our heads down and get to work if we want to be a part of something like that.
Yeah. So speak to us about that maturation process from your freshman year to your sophomore year, and then, you know, and having some things to come up in your junior year, and explain to us like that process for you and the things that you encountered, and what helped you get to the point that you felt like, hey, you know what, this is the year that we will have a chance at it, and or going through the injuries and things that you encountered. Talk to us about that. Let people know how that experience was for you.
Yeah, I actually experienced, speaking of injuries, I experienced injuries from the very, very beginning. That first summer, even before we started class basketball, I broke my wrist playing pickup. And so I spent the latter part of that summer rehabbing a broken wrist, had surgery on my wrist, and was just in time to make it for practice in the games going into that first season. So, I mean, I started the first half of the year wearing a brace on my wrist, hardly move my wrist, so that was like just getting thrown right into it, right? Like, not only are you going to college basketball at the highest level for the first time, but you're also trying to nurse an injury, and so like it was, I don't even want to say it was a rough start, because like I didn't feel any type of way about it. I was still super pumped about just being out there, and having an opportunity to play that I wasn't expecting, like 2 years before, I didn't think Sean May and Jawad Williams, well, Jawad was a senior, but I didn't think Sean and Raymond and all those guys were going to be leaving, right? So I didn't even expect to be out there on the court. So I was super excited just to be out there and to be able to contribute. And it was such a great experience for that class to have that opportunity, to have that space to step in and get thrown right into it, and to learn so much about what it meant to win in the ACC. And it also gave us an extreme amount of confidence to finish second in the ACC that year, when everybody thought that we were going to be reloading year. Don't worry about these guys, like nobody was thinking about us at the beginning of the year. And so it really gave us a huge amount of confidence, and it really just progressed fairly steadily. Every year we got more and more experience. We got more and more refined. Okay, we had a great year. We finished second in the ACC. We go to the NCAA tournament, and we lose in the second round. Then the following year, we get a little bit bigger and stronger, and we get some reinforcements with some additional younger guys, great talents, obviously, Wayne and Ty Lawson and the crew. And then we win an ACC tournament championship. Wonderful, Then we get, to the NCAA tournament, and we have another tough year, right? Where I think we're on the brink of being a big time team, but we fall, late to Georgetown with a chance to go to the Final Four. And then the next year again, then we just become even more powerful, getting close to dominant was 2009, right? So 2008, we get to the point where we're big time players, right? Everybody knows about us. Everybody's coming to get us. We're ranked up in top 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know exactly what, we were ranked throughout the majority of that year, but had another great year and finally make it through and get to the Final Four, right? And so like every year we just, again, get a little bit better, a little bit more, let's say a little wiser, starting to understand kind of, how to win big games and how to keep that momentum going, even when you lose games, and, just all the things that you have to learn in order to get, in my opinion, in order to get to that point. And then the following year, unfortunately, I wasn't able to be on the court as much as I wanted to that year, but just to see again, the leaps that we took year by year to just get more and more prepared to be dominant on the scene of college basketball. So I loved our story so much because we all stayed locked in. We all stayed committed to the process, right? We weren't trying to hit a home run the first year. Now, of course, our goal is to win the championship, right? But really, the essence of what we're thinking about doing is getting better every day, right? And just focusing on getting better every day will put us in a position to win games, to win championships. And I just think that we did an incredible job of sticking to that plan of getting better every day. And no, it didn't work out for 3 years. I mean, that's a tough way to put it. I think it did work out. There were still ACC championships won. There were still, preseason tournaments won and all these things. But we didn't get to the ultimate goal, but every year we got better and better. Players improved, the team improved, and for me, that was such a great story. Now, of course, you put 15 guys together in their first year together, they win the championship. That's an awesome story too. But I just love the way that, you know, we went step by step, got here, had some disappointments, got past that point, and just kind of continues to get, you know, to step up that ladder until we, you know, finally cut those nets down.